All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to our Thunderbird Thursday event. Today's event is specifically about fearless influencers, so the power in student voices. We'd really appreciate it if you could check in, and we can help with tracking your attendance through the link that will be put into the Zoom chat in a moment. Thank you, Edwina. We'd really appreciate it if you could check in there. Next slide, please. And for this Thunderbird Thursday, we are the Associated Students of Highline College Student Government Team. So I am Maya Leonard. I am the ASHC Student Body President, and I use she, her pronouns, and I'll pass it on to Anita.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Anita Wamboy. I am the ASHC Vice President. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm excited to see you guys here. I'll pass it to Lataya.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lataya. I'm the Speaker of Caucus, and I use she, her pronouns, and I hope everyone's having a good day.
Okay, so just before we get started with our event, I just wanted to share a land and labor acknowledgement. We would like to take a moment to acknowledge that Highline College is located on occupied Duwamish, Muckleshoot, Puyallup, and Coast Salish lands. Thank you to all First People and Indigenous communities for today's physical and virtual space. And we invite you to think about the cities and lands in which you are joining us from today. Further, we also respectfully acknowledge the enslaved people, primarily of African descent, who provided exploited labor on which this country was built with little to no recognition. Today, we are indebted to their labor and the labor of many Black and brown bodies that continue to work in the shadows for our collective benefit. Next slide, please. Thank you. And we'd also like to share some community agreements. So first of all, please make sure to take care of yourself, where if you need to get up, move around, get some water or some snacks, feel free to do so. Next is I statements only, so to speak from your own perspective. Next is confidentiality. The story stays, the lesson leaves, so that whatever people share here, we really want to keep the stories with us, but we take away the lessons into other spaces as well. Next is impact over intent. So before speaking about certain topics, that make sure that we really think about our words, and though we recognize that we may have good intention, realize that it could have a negative impact on others. Next is also vocalizing feelings. So letting others know, like, for example, here with our student leadership team and the professional staff team, we like to use snaps whenever we really like something or we agree with something, and also ouch and oops as well. And next, there's step up and step back. So recognizing when it's appropriate to step up to the mic, or if you've been able to have some time with the mic, to step back to allow that same space for others. Next is encourage discussion, but also silence is okay, since a lot of the topics we discuss might take some time to process. And so once that time, that we've given some time to let that sink in and process, then we would also really like it if you all could engage in some discussions as well. Next is leave space for growth. So we're all here to learn more. If some folks don't know something, please feel free to share your own knowledge about that topic with others, and also being able to recognize that we are coming here with the intent to learn, so we might not know everything. Next is don't yuck my yum, where some folks might have certain interests or like that are very different from yours, so just making sure to not yuck others' yums. And lastly, to mute yourself unless speaking, to help prevent any background noise that can be distracting to our program. And before we get into this, I also just wanted to share that live automated captions are available. And so if the captions didn't show up for you automatically, please click on the live transcript button at the bottom of your screen to view subtitles. You can also click to view the whole transcript so you can see what was said earlier, but if you'd rather not see the captions, then you can also turn them off by selecting the hide subtitles button. And with that, I would like to pass it now on to Lataya.
Thank you. So what is the Connect program? The Connect program is a series of monthly leadership workshops offered. These workshops will help you explore what being a leader means for you and to grow your skills. If you're like me, you like to show off your achievements. So I would say to participate in at least 5, and then you can get a certificate. So yeah, just click the link. Okay, so now is the fun part. This is an icebreaker I would love everyone to kind of mingle into. It's something similar to speed dating. It's called speed chat. So if you're familiar with speed dating, you know that you're introduced to a few people pretty quickly and you ask some questions in a fast format. And I want everybody to understand that they are advocates. And I want people to understand the resource you can get by just asking someone who may be an advocate. So you'll be broken into breakout rooms, and you can ask any question you would like, anything pertaining to school. Example could be, who's your favorite math teacher? What do you like to do after you study? What pencils do you use? It could be anything, long as it's pertaining to school, because that's kind of like the baseline understanding that we all have. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and do that and ask any questions. And if you don't get your question answered in the first breakout room, there will be another breakout room to ask the same question. And if someone still didn't get their question asked, you can go ahead and ask that to another person in a different breakout room. And maybe later on, send them a chat, letting them know that their answer has been answered.
Hi guys, I hope that was really a good experience. It was for me. It was great, like sharing ideas and the answers to our questions. It was like also interesting to see how we have like probably similar concerns. I don't know. You can type in the chat what your experience was as well. On our next activity, we are going to do an Menti activity where I'm going to, let us see, post a link. Hope that works. Oh, thank you, Edwina. You can just click onto that link and probably just like take a second to think about what student advocacy means to you, and just like type a word or words, and let's see what you guys think. So I'll give you guys like 5 minutes to type in what you think, what student advocacy means to you.
Alrighty, see a couple of words popping up on my screen. So okay, if I just share my screen a bit. Great, thank you. Oh, it looks like I don't have access to share. Okay, thank you. Yes, so I definitely see a lot of good words here. So for example, like use of your platform, set up for success, organic, voice, speaking up, safety, that's a really good one, growth, support, being authentic, help, encourage, student-led. Like these are a lot of really good words that I definitely feel like connects a lot with student advocacy. Okay, I see support and courage are 2 really big ones up on this board. connect. I see that's there as well. Oh yeah, support's definitely a big one in this.
An interesting one is also safety. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because like a lot of student advocacy, like how do we really help keep each other safe and protective of our community? So I think that's definitely a good one. The actions in there too, definitely important.
You guys are doing a really good job. Like, these are really awesome words. Also, feel free to unmute yourself, and if you have like a word that you posted and you want to tell us more about it, that would be awesome to hear as well. I'd be interested to hear the safety one. Yeah, a lot of good words. Use a platform, that's a good one. Yeah, so we'll make sure to save this document. These are really good words that you guys came up with. This is awesome. Like,
Yeah, I took a screenshot of that, so
oh,
definitely gonna
awesome.
make note of it.
Thank you, Maya. So with that, if there's no one else who wants to unmute themselves and like tell us more, we'll get to the definition. Okay, I think we are ready for the next slide. So this is a definition that we checked out, and in an official dictionary, advocacy is an activity by an individual or group that aims to influence decisions within political, economic, and social institutions. Public support for recommendation of a particular case or policy. So in particular, student advocacy focuses on identifying student needs and then taking proactive steps to gain maximum support for meeting those needs. So really what you guys had has is in a lot of the definition. So you guys did pretty well. And if I'll be interested to hear if someone has like a different definition of what advocacy or what student advocacy is, please unmute yourself and let's hear. Awesome. Well, we will get into our next slide and I will pass it to Lataya.
Okay, so Doris, I seen that you just entered the building. She's our fearless influencer today, and we have a few questions for her. So Doris, hi.
What up, fam? Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Okay, so first, can you just introduce yourself and just tell us about your journey in advocacy?
Hi, everyone. Doris Martinez, she, her pronouns, and I serve as the director for the Center for Culture and Inclusive Excellence. I have been here at Highline 7 years, but a fun fact is I was also a student at Highline College. Graduate, class of 2007, so I'm a little older, but still look good. But honestly, advocacy, to be honest with you, I really learned about advocacy being a student leader here at Highline College. I know that y'all have been having conversations, of what this means, but for me, when I think of advocacy, I think of one word, and that's selflessness, right? Really looking about beyond yourself and your experiences and your journeys in really understanding of others, thinking of others besides yourself. And I think being a student at Highline exposed me to people of different life paths and experiences that were different from my own, but we're also like a melting pot in the collective, right? So as a student leader, I was super involved in the United Latino Association that we started here at Highline for folks of, that identify as Latinx. And at the same time, doing a lot of coalition building with folks in our BSC, our Black Student Union. We had a Muslim Student Association that was super active. Friends of Bosnia group that was super active. So a lot of groups really that were centered and identity based. And so really looking into, as a collective, like what were some of our pressing student issues, everything from tuition, to food scarcity. We were able to collectively work as different clubs together, and that's where I really started thinking of okay, if I see someone outside of my community that is struggling, how am I utilizing what I know to advocate and to speak up on their behalf, right? And so that's really how I started diving into it. And who knew that entire time, y'all, that was teaching me how to be an educator? And by working with students, and getting involved with student government and going to speak and advocate for, reduction of student tuition in Olympia, at this in the state, legislature, and having that opportunity to speak on behalf of community college students. What the heck? I didn't know that I would ever have that, but it really began with our clubs program, no lie. Me really being involved in really learning racial justice, learning about, social justice, and diving in from there. And it kind of just trickled into my college career and ended up being my job. So long story short, but that's really how it flowed.
Thank you, Doris. That is beautiful how you view advocacy. So the first question I have is, who inspires you?
Y'all do. I really think our students are our greatest teachers. I say it all the time. Y'all also give me a headache. Don't get it twisted. But honestly, our students are my greatest teachers. I've been working professionally in higher ed for 10 years, and there is not a day that goes by that I'm not learning something. It's, y'all teaching me. Yeah, students be studying. It's so true. I think it's our students that really just inspire me, because without y'all, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be talking about advocacy. I wouldn't be teaching. I think our students really do inspire me, and also my mentors, that held my positions before, mentors, faculty, that really pushed me beyond my own imposter syndrome, having not feeling not feeling the strength or the ability to think that I could do something, right? That I could advocate for others, that I am smart, that I do have something valuable to give back to my community. It's people like that that also inspire me to strive and do the best that I can every day, which means not every day is going to be a perfect day that I'm feeling myself as an advocate, right? Or that I'm going to have it right. CCIE, my staff knows I'm a hot mess, and I always talk about that. But, you know, I think having your heart in the right place. And I think with students and with mentors, they've really taught me that. So that's what inspires me.
Awesome. So what skills do you think an advocate needs?
Honestly, someone who really understands cultural responsiveness, someone who is equity centered, and not just saying those words or but really understanding what it means to have your own understanding your own biases, because we all have them. How do we work with those biases? How do we really do our own inner work, understanding our own privileges, and also understanding like how that really plays in your leadership. I think all of those things, especially if you are wanting to work with people, right? If you're wanting to be a part of community, you really need to do your own inner work. And I mean, I'm still doing that every day. But I think those are important skills, like understanding your own privileges, your own, you know, your own biases, understanding, doing your racial justice work, understanding equity, and just really being able to dive into that.
Great. So how do you organize advocacy role with your daily life?
How do I organize it? There's days that I don't, to be honest. In the work that I do here at CCIE, I'm also very involved with various campus committees, including you know, our equity task force, faculty and staff of color group, LGBTQIA+ task force. There's a lot of different committees that I am involved in my position. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, there's days that I get a phone call, or there's days I get an email saying, hey, something's going down over here with faculty. There's, you know, I'm struggling, can we talk? And honestly, I have to drop everything. Even yesterday, you know, I was talking to a staff member who's been struggling and dealing with some things. And so I really don't think there's ever a plan for me, because things happen. Life be lifing, right? Life happens. But there are things, you know, as for example, you know, co-chairing the Students of Color Conference, or, you know, collaborating, you know, being a president of statewide council, where I do need to be organized and be strategic. That's another thing, being very strategic in where you are positioning yourself, knowing the right people that can create the changes or have the power to create the changes that you need. And so there's days where I do need to be very strategic in how I move and how I operate, but then there's times that I have to respond. So it's kind of like looking at being reactive and also proactive. And it just depends on what situation and circumstance I'm in.
See, that's why you're our fearless influencer, okay? So thank you. We appreciate this, because we can all take something from what you just said. So thank you for your time. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank y'all. Happy Thursday. That was it?
Yeah, girl. I got more, but maybe later.
Okay, good. I'm off the hot seat. Thank y'all so much for hosting this. This was lit.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you so much, Doris. That was awesome. Like, I've learned a couple of things, especially when you shared the imposter syndrome with advocacy and how you probably don't feel equipped to be an advocate, and that was just awesome to hear from you. And just like being strategic, that's a good one that I've just taken a second to reflect about being strategic and, you know, just having some kind of a plan as much as life be lifing, you said. So thank you so much. You guys could please just put in the chat what you've learned from Doris today, our fearless influencer. It would be awesome to see what your takeout was. You could just post it on the chat or unmute yourself and tell us. I'm guessing you guys are busy typing. Advocacy is about selflessness. Wow, yeah. I literally wrote that down. I know it seems like, yeah, obvious, but it definitely is. Yes, Doris, you say that. And Audra, you related to there's not a particular plan. That's awesome. Yeah, life happens and it keeps happening. Yeah, that was awesome to reflect on because it's true. Yep. Okay. As you guys continue to just post what your takeout was, we could move on to the next slides. Awesome. So as we are soaking in all the info that we picked up from Doris, we could just get ready to have a reflection time in breakout rooms where we are going to talk about some examples of student advocacy that we've seen. Or it doesn't have to be student advocacy as well. It can be just some example of advocacy that you have seen, or even if it's just yourself, you can just take time to share that. And Edwina, if you could just like open the breakout rooms, then we could do that. Hopefully you guys had a good time in your breakout room. Yeah, it would be interesting to hear what you guys reflected on in your breakout rooms, but as we hold on to that thought, I would like to give us a break where we'll be taking a 5 minutes break and come back at 3:25. I hope you guys had a good break. Welcome back. Yeah, so we're just going to get back to the reflection that we had and just like talking about the examples of advocacy that we've seen. And now we have our own ASHC just taking you guys through their personal journey, our personal journey with advocacy And I'll we will start with either Maya or Lataya. Any of you want to start?
Sure, I can start.
Awesome.
So advocacy with me kind of started at a young age. I was one of those students that asked a ton of questions, to the point that it kind of embarrassed me and I stopped asking questions. And that kind of hindered me a lot because those questions never got answered. And I wasn't gaining the knowledge and the support that I needed through certain subjects or whatever it is that I had questions about. So now I'm at a place where I understand it's okay to not know something and to want something answered, to have a question answered. That's the whole point of life. We're always learning. So you should always have a question. And so I love helping people with their questions. If that's not me answering the questions myself, helping them find the answer, the solution to their questions. So yeah, and it's changed me a lot because now I'm just more social with people and I'm always wanting to help people. I'm probably like annoying to people because I'm always like, are you okay? Do you need anything? Because I'm just so used to it now.
Yeah, I definitely connect with that in terms of like asking questions. So for me, I really started with the path of advocacy when I started at Highline. And as someone who only ever really studied online since fourth grade, all throughout high school, since I was enrolled in an online program, starting college during the Running Start program, I was in a physical classroom kind of for the first time. And I was pretty shy. I didn't really ask questions as much, but when the professor said that you're graded based on participation, that's when I knew like, oh, I need to step my game up. And so I really learned how to advocate for my own self in that way, and just started telling myself like, if you have a question, you should probably ask it, because it's better to ask too many questions rather than too little, so that I won't be missing out on any information. And so through that kind of mindset, it trickled into like my extracurricular activities as well, where I started up a club called the Social Equity Club, where I was able to find a lot of other students, and we really built this community over fall quarter, where different people from different backgrounds all kind of brought a topic of their own interest, like what was closest to their heart in terms of the big overall overarching term of social justice. And so, for example, like we would have talks about ableism or mental health awareness or Islamophobia. And there's just so many different social justice topics that we're able to talk about, and really able to listen to all of these students' stories has really helped me gain a much bigger perspective on the world, and how so many different people from all over the world are here at Highline. And so that really helped me recognize how Highline is really such a global community. And I really felt like with that, it made me want to learn more. And once again, tying back, like asking questions, learning more about that. And as I've been able to learn more, I've been able to realize how little I actually know, because there's just so much information out there that you can never really learn. And so by having that kind of curiosity to learn more and asking questions has really helped me learn a lot more about other people. And so I really feel like for others as well, like it's definitely great to learn how to ask questions. Even if you don't know where to start off, just by starting off by telling your own story, maybe that can help open it up to other folks on like creating an environment where others are comfortable to share their story now that they've heard yours. And I feel like that really does help create a sense of community that connects a lot into advocacy.
That's awesome, Maya. I completely relate to that, especially with having a passion for social justice. And also, that's where I started. Coming from a community where speaking up wasn't encouraged growing up, especially as a child or as a woman. Like most in a cultural context, we were not encouraged to speak up and, be vocal about, it was like encouraged to just be like a bit timid. And it has been a journey for me to find voice. It started off with self-advocacy for me, just starting to like understand my strengths, my needs, my goals, my rights, my responsibilities. That's where my advocacy journey started, because I found myself in different positions where I had a few privileges, like for example, being a school prefect in school and realizing that I really have to use that position to voice um, concerns that I saw, and just like having also a personal growth opportunities where I found my voice and I found confidence slowly by slowly, but definitely it was a challenge for me to start speaking up, because all through I grew up knowing that uh, I probably shouldn't be vocal. I should be a bit timid, and that was encouraged. So definitely that was something. Also, as an international student, um, it's a different experience coming to a different country and like being in school and finding myself taking the opportunities to be a student leader, and also just realizing that you have a unique chance to share your unique experience coming from a different culture. And just like for me, it's mostly like just like seeing the opportunities that are there, and because of my passion for other people and my passion for social justice and my passion to have my voice heard, I've just like take up the challenge and be like, I have this opportunity, I have this privilege, and I can use it to to voice other people's concerns. And also just realizing that when I voice my needs, I also have people come in and tell me, oh yeah, I have the same issue, and people like just also giving me a different perspective on what their issues are. So that has encouraged me to be more vocal and to just take up that opportunity and be an advocate. Um, yeah, that's probably my journey, just being able to understand my rights and also like get support from others, especially here at Highline, that there are so many resources, and just like taking advantage of those. Yeah. So if you guys have an extra question for the student government, you can post it on the chat. You can unmute yourself and ask.
I have a question. Oh, Lupe just asked one. Go this first.
That's a really good question. Sorry. That's a really good question. Personally, I think with government, we are representing the student voice, and we are making sure that students are represented from different perspective and different, just trying to like also be inclusive. So it's important for students to get involved in terms of like getting to, for example, attend, our events and get this information, because we try to empower you to use your voice. We try to get to know you as well, so we can well represent you. So it would be, it's important for students to get involved, because the only way we can represent students is through engaging with students and hearing from you guys and hearing what you think and what your input is. So we are able to as well as communicate that to the staff and have maybe policies as well involved and changed to the effect of like making a difference in terms of like concerns or ideas or anything like that. So yeah, also as teams are open to all students, as Georgia said as well.
My question kind of builds off of that, because I was just curious what issues or topics do you all as ASHC feel like are the things that you're interested in sort of advocacy work around these days, whether that's stuff that is interesting to you personally, or maybe what you're hearing from your students that are maybe like the topics coming up that you're going to kind of be focusing on for advocacy.
So for me personally, I've been especially interested in how the COVID-19 pandemic has disproportionately affected BIPOC communities. So like, especially students of color, as Highline is the most populated college of students of color. I think it's either 71% or 77% of our students here are students of color. And so how can I best represent all of those students and better understand what resources do these students need, being able to work with community organizations and legislation on how we can pass law and get actual money funded into these programs that can be expanded to support students. So for example, hearing from the CARES Act funding program, like how they reached out to ASHC and like requested areas of space where they can help advise students. And so I feel like having those academic advising areas or just mentorship or support has been really important to connect with students. Like if they're falling through the cracks, then we need somebody there that's gonna help them really get back on track. And it's very kind of saddening to see how a lot of students aren't able to continue because of something that can be very easily fixed if the support were there. So really being able to reach out to them and say like, hey, we're here for you. That's something that I really want to look at, especially in a racial and economic justice lens.
Awesome. If there are no more questions for us, I will pass it to Lataya.
Can we get the next slide, please? Thank you. So we would like to know, what is you guys' advocacy story? How has you grown into a student advocate, or what ways do you think you can grow to become one? It would be nice if you guys shared or just, spoke through the chat. We would love to know.
Let me answer this. Latai.
Hey everyone, can I answer the question?
Sure, please do.
I pretty much came to Highline because of my history in activism, and like I did my research and I was like, oh, this school sounds like they share my values, and like one of the main reasons I've become a student, like I'd always wanted to return to college, or well, this is my first year in college, but I've always wanted to go to college, but it was kind of unsure. But then because of the pandemic, I was like, people need like resources, people need information. I need to keep my communities connected with the world and make sure people are getting like reliable news and reliable, you know, information throughout this situation. So that's at least like recent history.
Awesome. I love that. It is power in community, and making those connections help build the community. So I love that. Thank you, Audra.
Tyler, let me answer that question.
Yeah, please do.
I've grown into some advocate. Like when I told Maya in the breakout room, like playing things ahead, like study a lot, and then pass my classes, catch up, and finish all my assignments. Is what and I like planning things ahead of time. I do plan things ahead of time. I want to go take a test at the testing center, or like get paid and like starting to get paid job, another page of someone else, taking out this job later on, and I stuff like that. But I a way that I think I can grow to become more to get more work, get paid, have experience. Like I'm taking my classes here, so I can have experience for it. And then like putting things ahead of time for when I want to take my quiz or exam at the testing center. That's what answers my question is what I told Myra in the breakup.
Awesome. Thank you, Ying. Yeah, having experience can just be through personal, everyday trial and errors, just learning as you go. And I think Doris stated that earlier too. Like sometimes you just kind of got to go with life, and then whatever happens and just learn from it.
I'll go next. So some of my advocacies, or one of my one part of advocacy where I'm very open in is advocating about changing how censorship actually is, because personally, when I think of censorship in today's world, I think of a power that has been abused a lot. And like, for example, I don't think the FCC are really doing their jobs. And what really got me to start advocating for censorship to be more serious is when a few years ago, I was watching SpongeBob, and this was on Nickelodeon's and no other like channels. And the first commercial break, I get a commercial that is not really appropriate for children, and it gets me really mad. And like, it surprises me that Ren and Stimpy got censored for an episode where they practically duplicated Tom and Jerry type violence, but during commercial breaks, they're allowed to show commercials that are not supposed to appeal to children. And also, like, a lot of content creators, and this also goes with YouTube and how their CEO is very corrupt about censorship. Like, I've advocated for a like a more looser censorship because well, main reason is because everybody's getting mad at censorship.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. I like that you've seen error somewhere, and instead of just highlighting it, you sought out a solution. So yeah, it's definitely how advocacy works.
Yeah, thank you guys for sharing. Those were really good ones. And just to add on, I think as a student as well. Oh, the next slide, please. As a student as well, like as much as I need to use my voice and be an advocate, I just remember where you guys posted in the Menti, and something that stood out for me was support and feeling safe. And I feel like, yeah, as a student who's, you know, trying to use their voice and aspiring to be an advocate, you need as much support as you can get. Also, like, I mean, for me, academic struggles, for example, are real and part of like higher education. I was just like trying to, we came up with like some resources to share with you guys so that you know that Highline is here to support you through the struggles that you face. And you should like feel confident that the help that you get is effective, and then we care so that we can all grow in this area. So, for example, there's the academic advising. I can imagine it would be difficult to feel empowered when you're probably struggling in your academics and you need support. There are resources for you. And also, like, there's the case center. This employment opportunity really help you as a student to grow in so many leadership areas. And one of it is advocacy. It helps you just gain that voice and platform as well. And the Center of Leadership and Service and cultural and inclusive excellence. We have, as the student government, been given an opportunity to be advocates, and other leaders in the CLS and CIE. It's a great opportunity for students. I would advise you guys to check that out. Edwina has posted the links there. Those are really good resources that you can use to grow and to also like find your path. to use your student voice and to feel empowered. Yeah, I'll just like encourage you guys to check that out. And it has been helpful for us as student leaders, for example. And if you guys have additional resources, I would love to hear it from you. You can chat, you can put it on the chat or unmute yourself as well.
Taya, you're on mute.
Can we get the next slide, please? So I just want to say we can all be advocates in someone's life, and we can all use an advocate in our lives. And I also wanted to add to that that there is power in numbers. We are bigger together and we are louder together. So just understand community is needed to make an impact, a big impact.
All right, thank you so much. And with that, we just wanted to share some more events that'll be coming up pretty soon. And that is going to be Disability Justice Week. So this is going to be Highline's second annual week for that. And we have a link to the ccie.highline.edu link that shows more about each of the events that'll be happening from November 1st through the 5th. Thank you, Edwina, for sharing that in the chat. And you can definitely check out all of the rest of the programs there. Next slide, please. And with that, we just wanted to close out by saying thank you for taking the time to join us today and hear from us, from Doris, being able to share all of your thoughts and perspectives on student advocacy, along with your own personal journeys as well. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at ashc@highline.edu, and also to please provide some feedback for us so we can know to help and improve our future events moving forward. Great, thank you. We look forward to hearing from you all soon. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.